Well, hello, Senator Nina Turner. Welcome back once again to the Tim Black Show. You're such a driving force in this new era of progressive movement. I haven't seen you or spoken with you since South Carolina, and we both know a lot's changed since South Carolina. Um,
Indeed.
I'd like to jump right in and open the convo with a question. As such an outstanding leader in this movement, how do we channel frustration, anger, pain, and disappointment so that we can further the cause rather than get dragged down into the doldrums and recoil from the weight of the moment? What's your prescription for dealing with this?
That's a very good framing, Mr. Tim Black, and it's such a pleasure to be back with you. And I'm looking forward to hosting you. We're gonna do a whole Instagram live one Friday, maybe a week from this Friday. We need to go ahead and do that. But you framed that very well. I'm gonna take a quote from one of our foremothers. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. So if we use that, and that's Ella Baker as a foundation point, there are many other sisters and brothers in terms of our ancestry that we can call on so that we don't get dragged down by the weight of what is happening in this moment. We got to be able to endure this and see beyond this moment to the other side. Certainly it is important that we recognize the grief and the heaviness, whether it's the COVID-19 grief that people are enduring, whether directly or indirectly, we're all feeling the pain of that. And then also there's a political grief happening right now, particularly on the progressive side. And we can't fret, we can't get weary and well doing. We have to understand this moment. I'm not trying to erase it, not saying look at it through rose-colored glasses. It is what it is. What has happened, what has transpired, what is happening, and what is transpiring right now is real. But there's also though light on the other side if we're willing to be that light. In the words of Brother Mahatma Gandhi, if we are willing to be the change that we want to see in the world. So it's simple. We got to keep on fighting. Nothing has changed. Our issues are still the same. The needs are still the same. What Miss Corona has done, as one of my elders calls it, is just really exposed the fissures in the American system that need to be fixed and need to be fixed immediately. So our Medicare for All, canceling student debt, canceling medical debt, dealing with the racial wealth gap, dealing with a criminal justice system that is unjust. All of those things were true 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 60 years ago. It's still a reality and we still must fight.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel exactly the same way. You know, in light of that, the coronavirus, we talked about how, black community, you just stated how the black community has been impacted by that or how people are impacted by it. But as you and I know, the black community has been hit particularly hard. Black and brown people, black folks. What do you think is causing that? Is that due to economics or is it racism or lack of access to health care? What do you prescribe that disproportionate amount of black folks who have not only contracted the disease, Senator Turner, but actually succumbed to it?
All of the above, Tim Black. The comorbidity rate, that you will hear healthcare professionals talk about, the doctors, the morbidity, meaning, high blood pressure, diabetes, other medical conditions that are exacerbated when our people come into contact with the coronavirus. But you laid it out very clearly. It is racism, systemic racism. It is environmental racism. It is economic racism, i.e., do we get a chance to go to the doctor at the same rates? Do we even have health insurance to be able to go to a doctor even in good times? So what the pandemic is revealing is what was there all along. This pandemic, though, is just doing it at lightning speed. And it's also doing it in a way that people can no longer pretend like they don't see the inequities in this system. See, they were pretending before, Tim Black. Corona has just wiped away all of the illusion that the racial stressors in this country are real. And it always, there's a saying that when white America catches a cold, black America has what? The flu, pneumonia.
One of those.
We die. I mean, right now we just flat out dying. Yeah. So we have to find ways to use this moment for some kind of good. I believe that there's promise in the problem. we can never, ever go back to being the same. And that's the Black community, that's the brown community, that's the indigenous communities, that's our poor sisters and brothers across the ethnic spectrum. And then it's all people who have consciousness, cannot look at this moment and think all of this stuff is okay. But you know, the thing about it, Tim Black, is that the crises was always there. And the same people, for example, who are our essential workers, you know, I was talking to Reverend Barber about this, where he was making it plain, the essential workers don't have essentially what they need. Most of those essential workers don't have health care. Most of them don't have paid family leave or medical leave. Most of those essential workers, Tim Black, as you remember, just even months ago, we were debating about whether or not they deserve $15 an hour minimum wage.
Right. Yep.
So the hashtag, the struggle is show enough real, as my grandmother would say, show enough real.
And now they're propping up our economy, or what's left of it anyway, and being our lifeline is so many people to be able to eat, frankly. And we didn't want to give them 50. Well, they didn't want to give them $15.
They didn't want to give them even $15. And then some of these elected officials got the pure unadulterated gall to bemoan the fact that some people making a little more off of unemployment than they were making when they were working. Well, what's wrong with that picture? That means you need to pay people more money, pay them a living wage.
You know, usually on my show, I start off talking about Corona because I want to give respect because of all the people that are suffering, really going through it. And I don't want to gloss over that at all. But I will say that Ohio, when I think Ohio, I always think working class people. You know, I think the heart of Ohio, same thing here in Maryland. And I think about the protests that are going on in numerous cities across the country. And initially, Nina, I don't know if this rings true to you, but initially I kept seeing those signs. I want to get my hair done. I need to, get rid of this stay-at-home order. But as I'm looking closer, is some of that's being pushed to the front, but behind it are some people with some real issues about economic scarcity, wondering if they're going to lose their homes, they're going to lose their businesses, some businesses that they've had handed down. What do you think about when you see the protests, barring the ignorant protest part, because there's a part of it, but the majority of the protests in these working class cities of people, blue-collar people who just want to get back to work? What would you say to them?
I'm glad you shifted that out because there are some extremists. I mean, seeing my state house surrounded basically with people with weapons, really is not a good look. Government is designed for us to do collectively what we cannot do as individuals. And dealing with the coronavirus, COVID-19 demanded rather, a universal response. And part of that response was to say to people, you have to stay home. Part of freedom also means some sacrifice. And so those of us who are fortunate enough, because there are millions of our sisters and brothers who go to sleep, they don't have a roof over their head. They don't have any place to shelter in place. So that if you are privileged enough, and when I say privileged, because people worked, it shouldn't even, living in a house should not be a privilege. So let me check myself before I go that far. If you are blessed enough to have a home to be sheltered in, and then you out there protesting about you want to get a haircut, that's different from what you're laying out, which is that for some people, the protest is, I must get back to work because I have to take care of my family. And the fact that the Congress just flat out failed, they should have given that $2,000 universal basic income per family or per individual in the family, based on the needs of working class people who cannot afford to pay their mortgage or their rent or put food on the table. They failed, Tim Black. Yeah. And we got a Congress that put forth stimulus bills, 3, 4 of them? 4, and they ain't bailed out Main Street yet. So I do thank you for showing the other side of that some of these people are just saying, hey, if I'm not gonna get a stimulus here, I gotta find a way to make money. 70% of our economy is consumer driven. And so people really are trying to get out there and get back to work. But some folks don't believe that COVID-19 is real. Right. And some of them are just flat out protesting just because they feel as though government is trying to tell them what to do. If you have a governor that really had a heart for looking out for the people, to say, hey, we got a shelter in place. I have to put these rules in place so that we save lives. That's something to be grateful for. On the other hand, though, we do have to deal with the fact that nobody is riding in on a black horse trying to save the people. That's not happening. The 1% is being saved, making money hand over fist. Make no mistake, Tim Black, people are making multi-millions of dollars off this crisis. Yet everyday people in states like mine and yours and all across this country, they are suffering because the cavalry is not coming to save them. And that's real.
It's so painful watching these people protest and be mad at the wrong people, in my opinion.
Yes.
I want them to protest their government and say, hey, instead of giving that money to the airline industry, how about giving it to small businesses? Instead of forking that money over to big corporations. I heard the NBA got like $46 million. They don't need $46 million. I know they returned it, but the point is they got the money. So I'm like, man, if we could just harness this energy, Nina, and use it and have these people realize we got a common enemy in this, and it's not your governor as much as it is, I would say, the federal government structure and the corporations that they're bailing out instead of the people. Does that sound like that makes sense, or correct me if I'm wrong?
No, it does make sense. I just want to add one caveat to what you said about the airline industry, because they were able to negotiate a process by which nobody would be laid off.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the airline portion of the stimulus was the right way to go. You get this and we don't lay off folks. So a lot of people in that industry who may or may not be showing up to work, but they're still keeping their paycheck. And I think that's going to be till the end of June, I believe. Okay. That is a great model. That's the other model. So don't think of it as bailing out the airline as much as it is bailing out the people who actually work for those airlines. And we needed that model. Our sisters and brothers across the seas did the same thing, where you had governments say, if you keep your employees, Tim Black, we'll pay 80%. If you keep people working.
Right.
We didn't do that in the United States of America. So actually the way we did the airlines was the right way to do it. And I got to give a big shout out to Sarah Nelson, who represents I think she might only represent the stewardess, but I just want to thank her for her leadership in that, and others who really negotiate a strong package for our sisters and brothers who actually work in the airline industry. But you're right about the NBA and some of these other industries that don't need the money. And you're right. I'm glad they gave it back, but what in the hell did they apply for it in the first place?
Yeah, that's another point of it. And thank you for correcting me, because it looks like we needed that model across the board for other corporations, where we kept the people. I saw some, some corporations, they got the money and still laid off people. I don't understand. Right. I don't understand that.
It's predatory capitalism.
Yeah.
And we can debate, I know some people want to abolish capitalism altogether. We can debate that. We won't debate it tonight. But what is most troubling about what is happening in the United States of America is the predatory nature of the type of capitalism that we are faced with in the 21st century. To your point, if you're making money hand over fist and you still want to lay people off, or Jeff Bezos, hello, brother, hello, what would it hurt you to make sure that people work in safe environments? Because, Amazon is very much a necessity now, Tim Black. I mean, let's just go and tell the truth about it.
Yeah.
But there is a way for that man to make money in a socially conscious way, but he just refused to do it. You can pay your employees more than a living wage. You can make sure that the environment is safe. And most people will love to come to work and continue to help you make that profit. But what does he do? People get fired. Our brother that led a protest,
right.
You get let go. We got a vice president just quit that piece because he had integrity and he was willing to say, oh no, what we're doing here is not right. Jeff Bezos don't have to do that, Tim Black. And I know he's listening and watching to the Tim Black show. I know he is. I just got a message from Mr. Jeff Bezos. Baby, you don't have to do it that way.
No.
He doesn't. He does not have to do it that way. And he's wrong. And so that is an example of predatory capitalism. There are other ways to make money and do it in a socially conscious way. And we got to turn this thing around. There should be penalty. There should be a consequence for the way that Jeff Bezos is running that company. And he is needed. That Amazon is needed right now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, man, if we only had a candidate running for president who was willing to take on the corporations and the 1%, I mean, maybe we would have had a shot at turning this thing around. I mean, I heard there was a candidate who ran who was, had a wall of shame for billionaires. I mean, I wish we would have supported him more.
I heard that same rumor too, TB. I did.
You know, last night I was getting ready for my show, and someone DM'd me, and they said, "I'm watching this show, Tim Black. Don't get mad. It's not your show. It's somebody else's show." And they just said that Senator Nina Turner started a super PAC. I said, Senator Nina Turner started a super PAC.
No.
I said, I looked into it. So you
Yeah.
started a PAC. Senator Nina Turner, would you address this and tell us a little bit about the PAC, not super PAC, and why it's a good thing, not a negative?
Never let the truth get in the way of a good damn story. Okay. I saw that foolishness on Twitter. You know, folks just got to sling mud and don't know what the hell they at least know what you're talking about before you start slinging mud. No, it is called Once Again, and it is an allyship between a few progressive organizations. The People for Bernie is part of it. PDA, Progressive Democrats of America, Roots Action, you know, are part of a PAC, not a super PAC. And it is to remind folks that Senator Bernie Sanders is still on the ballot. There are about 20 more states left to vote, and trying to encourage people to vote for him so that progressives who are still operating within the Democratic Party can actually be able to push their issues at the Democratic convention, whether it's in person or whether it's virtually. There's a 25% threshold that we must get in order for progressives to be able to have a voice on the Rules Committee and also the Platform Committee. So that, and then once again, is also saying we are once again asking people to remember that our movement is still strong, that there is still so much more work to do, to once again remember that when you are in a movement of this magnitude, you're gonna have some ups and some downs and some turnarounds, but baby, we really are on a justice journey, and we should not let anything turn us around. You know, there's a song in the African American church that say, "Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around." Mm-hmm. You know, that's really what it's about. And it's about people raising. And we wanted Bernie-crats in particular, but the progressive movement in general, to know that Senator Sanders set the spark, but we are the fire. And so it continues. Our movement is not about one leader. It's about multiple leaders from different walks of life. I'm a leader in that movement in my own right. And baby, we are here to tell you that we're going to once again keep pushing for the issues that matter most to the working poor, to the poor, and to the barely middle class in this country. And that's all it is.
Yes, you are a leader in your own right, Senator Turner. And with that comes people asking me questions like, won't Nina run for president? Won't Nina go green? Won't Nina start a new party? They got all this stuff they want you to do. Senator Turner, what are your thoughts on this? I know you've considered some of these options. Are any of them realistic for you? What's the plans for your leadership? What's the next step for you?
Well, I'm honored by that, because I know it's not every day that people are saying, run for president, do this, do that. Very few of us in that club. And so I am very honored, Tim, by your viewers, your listeners, and just people all across the country, different platforms who really reach out to me in this way. I am going to use my energy and synergy to continue to push this movement forward, and I am going to consider all of the above. I really am. Not so sure about, you know, I get that people want to start another party. They are very disappointed with the Democratic Party. Democratic Party is going to have to reckon with that. You know, Brother Einstein defined insanity. He said doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And so the progressive movement itself, we have to decide what we are going to do as a collective, not just as individuals, but really get together. I want the progressive movement to form a pact, P-A-C-T, with one another. And let's get together so that we are more organized and more agile, so that we can be able to withstand the corporatist Democrats. And then we have to make room for people in our movement who say, the hell with the Democrats, I want out. I get those. I get it. Because this party is owned and bought, is paid for by the corporate side of the ledger, and it's very unfortunate. And so there are some people, Tim, who want to stay within that and fight it. You know, some progressives, I won't say a lot, but some progressives do believe that the progressive movement should stay within the Democratic Party, continue to push it left, which we have, and then at some point try to take it over. Then there are others who just say Dem exit. And I get all of that. I'm listening to people. What I am doing right now is listening to what the people have to say about, you know, about the future, how heavy they're feeling, where they think that we need to go. But I'm here. I'm in it, and I hear the cries. I definitely hear the cries of the people. So I want them to know, Tim, no matter what I do, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to be a voice and a leader in this movement, and continue to lock arms with people who want to do what is just, what is right, and what is good. And we're going to have to fight like hell. None of this is going to be given. We're going to have to fight like hell, and we're going to win some, and we're going to lose some. But I want this movement to take great solace in that we have set the tone. We have set the narrative. People are responding based on our values and not the other way around. So we've come a long way in 5 years. We got many more miles to go, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, I love that point you just made at the end there about 5 years. It feels like 25 years.
It does.
But please, people, it's only been 5 years. Senator Turner, to me, it seems like people are really rushing it. Like, I understand we got issues that we want to get addressed yesterday, but are people being realistic? I don't want to go hard on them, but I want to say we're working. We've done a lot. When you look back at 2020, do you feel that we accomplished some things? What are your thoughts about what we've done in this short amount of time?
No, I do, and you're absolutely right. Look, if you are the one out there drowning, you can't wait for tomorrow, right? So it depends on where you are in the urgency. What position you are in terms of how urgent something is. Yeah. So I definitely get it, but we have turned. I mean, if we want to look at it just strictly from a Democratic Party lens, which God knows I really do want people to see things beyond that. Part of the problem in this country is we're so polarized based on whether you got on a blue shirt or a red shirt, who's your team, who's not your team, that we don't take the time to really just, as the renowned leadership guru Stephen Covey once said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. We don't always have to agree, but I need to at least understand where you're coming from, and hopefully you will try to seek to understand where I'm coming from, and we can get some understanding. And that is where we need to be, not who's a Democrat, who's a Republican all the time. Like, we never can turn that off. How about just talking about human beings and human needs first before you start going through that partisan? We have come a long way, and I want them to count those victories. I mean, there are cities and states in this country that did increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Hello, somebody.
Hello.
There are states in this country that have legalized marijuana. Hello, somebody. There are states and cities in this country where the criminal justice system has been reformed somewhat, and many more miles to go. We are electing progressive prosecutors. Come on. Come on, movement. Oh no, we have some victories. We really, really do. Do we want more? Absolutely. Do we want this stuff to pop off on the federal level? Absolutely we do. But don't discount the work. I want people just to take a moment. Can we just pause? You know how they say, can we just pause for a moment and think about how far we have come as a movement and how much change has happened? Even look at 2018. Of course, the corporatists and the moderate Democrats going to say we didn't win. No, baby, we won some races. Yeah. We did. And as long as we keep the faith and the fight, we are going to win many more until they're just totally surrounded. That's the goal.
To the pressure of the people is focused on pushing them in the direction we want, and then they're going to have to cave in. They'll have no choice. Either that or dissolve the party, or there will be another party. There will be something's going to have to give if we get all the people together. That's right. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And Tim, for the people traveling around the country, and it's not just the millennials and the Zs. I mean, I've talked to people, my generation, Generation X, and I've also talked to boomers who are over it. Now, when you get a boomer saying they over it, that's real. Like, straight up over it. So there is pressure here. We know most of the people who are registered to vote in this country are not Democrat or Republican. They're independent. Independent voters do lean a certain way, granted, but they're independent. That is the largest number of people in this country. And people are frustrated and they're tired of the BS.
and they're not going to continue to take it. And so there is space and room for leadership like mine, leadership like yours, and other leaders across this country who are really pushing for what is just, for what is right, and what is good. And I keep saying it in those terms because we should be driven by the issues and not by the personalities. Do you support universal health care? Okay, so you didn't support universal health care on the campaign trail. Okay, now that COVID-19 is a reality, do you support universal health care? Okay, do you need the numbers? Almost 30 million people unemployed. Most of those people, their health care was tied to their job. Do you still believe that health care should be tied to a job? Yes or no? Do you believe that we need a Green New Deal in this country and put people back to work and do good for this country and for Mother Earth? Do you? I mean, it's simple, Mr. Black.
Yeah, it is simple. And those questions are basic, and I'm not hearing those questions being asked. No one's asking those people who are jumping on live streams and talking about other stuff. What about your position on health care? That should have been, to me, this should be a layup. If this was basketball right now, this should be a layup. You don't need LeBron to do anything special right now. Just put that ball in the hoop.
That's it. And I want the Democrats in the House of Representatives that we control to go ham.
That's right.
Just do something wild and crazy. How about go ahead and just go on and introduce and pass a package with all of that stuff in there and send it on over there to Leader McConnell? How about that? Mm-hmm. Let him reject it, but you take a stand.
Yeah.
No Democrat in the House of Representatives should be complicit or complacent about whether or not we need universal health care in this country in this moment, COVID-19. That's all y'all need to know. Or whether or not we need that. How many committees and meetings do you have to have before you understand that people are literally dying? And if you are not dying, you are losing your livelihood. They should have never went on recess, Timothy. If I was there, I would not have gone on recess while millions and millions of people are suffering in this country still.
Well, maybe you should get back in that game, Ms. Turner, because I know some people that would definitely support that, whatever direction you want to take. And we know that you're going to stand up for the people. Yesterday I made a mistake. I did a video about the New York situation. And I realized that Bernie Sanders is back on the ballot. So are everyone else who was still on, who didn't. Even though you suspended your campaign, if you still allow yourself to be on the ballot, you're still on the ballot. And I gave that credit to Andrew Yang solely, not realizing that there may be more to the story. Are you privy to what took place in New York and how the New York Board of Elections made a turn based on that judge's ruling?
Yeah, some of that. I mean, yes, no, we shouldn't. There's no problem with shouting out Brother Yang. Let's go and shout him out. He did file a lawsuit, but there are people like Linda Sarsour that was involved in pushing that. There are organizations there, progressive organization, George Albro, and other grassroots people like that were raising holy hell from the beginning. They don't get the credit because, they don't have the biggest names. Okay. But and what I will say about Andrew Yang is even when I tweeted him out, you weren't wrong, Tim Black. Okay. Even when I tweeted him out, he came back with thank you. And this was a team effort. And that speaks to his character on this particular issue, because ordinarily people would try to take all the credit. He did not do that in his response to me. It certainly was a team effort, and there are far more grassroots leaders that were involved, more than I can name, than what we recognize. And because Andrew Yang ran for president, and so he had that big cachet, when he filed the lawsuit, all of the energy and credit went towards him, when really it very much was a team effort in the locals in New York, the progressive base in New York. They were the ones that were out there on the battlefield from jump as soon as they realized that something like that was in play. And I just thank God that they didn't get weird. I mean, that's another example. I mean, that's a lesson. Let's rest right there. Don't relent. If what you are doing is right, stay right there. You never know what might happen. And look what happened. They didn't give up. And look what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, Maryland hasn't voted yet either. I'd like to be able to cast my ballot for my chosen candidate. If
Yeah.
it wouldn't be too much trouble for the Democrats to let me do that, that'd be real nice.
Right.
I
That
think
would be nice to have some choice, right?
Mrs. Black and I would like to be able to choose. You know, we like
And millions of other people just like you guys would like to have a choice if the Democrats don't mind.
if they
Yeah.
don't mind. You know, if they could,
They don't mind.
and paper ballots. Like, what do you feel about paper ballots, Miss
We should
Reid?
always have a backup system. Technology fails, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
And nothing wrong with good old-fashioned paper. Backup at all times. Yes, we need that.
So I understand that Senator Sanders has been talking with Vice President Biden on a number of issues. One, I heard you were on the Breakfast Club and you were on the Rolling Stones with Matt Taibbi and Katie Halper. Y'all talking about the Joe Biden campaign and how I thought did they reach out to you now for this committee that they're putting together? Has there been a change to them deciding they didn't want any Nina Turners involved?
Tim, you messing with me. You know good and damn well.
I know.
They don't want no truth teller.
No.
It's listen, it's not right. It's Angela Yee. She paused in that. She wait a minute. Wouldn't you? And I shout out to the Breakfast Club in Charlemagne, the God, DJ Envy, and my sister Angela Yee. I do appreciate them for having me on. No, they haven't. And you know what? That's their right not to. It's fine.
Oh. So they're going to entice progressives by freezing out one of our most cherished leaders?
Yeah, I guess that's the play. That's the play. But it's so they can't stop me. They can't stop my shine. They can't stop me. They just can't. I'm out here with the people, period. That's exactly where I belong. But it's very telling, right? I hope progressives read between the lines on that.
Yeah, we
I guess they ain't got to read between the lines. That's just right there, blatant out in the open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we want your help. We're gonna blame you if this person, like, first of all, I haven't conceded that that Bernie's out. We still have to go to the convention. People still don't have the requisite number of delegates, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen. But
you're not by yourself on that.
I'm still here. I'm with you and Bree. I'm still holding out hope. Something popped up, Miss Turner, recently. Now, it's not a new situation, and of course, you don't want to answer. You already know what to do.
Okay.
Joe Biden. There's a woman by the name of Reid who says back in 1993 when she was working for the senator, when he was Vice President Biden was Senator Biden, he did some things, untoward, disgusting things to her, and she reported these things to the news media like about almost a year ago, 9 months ago or so. And finally it surfaced once Bernie suspended his campaign. It's kind of crazy how that's when it finally came out. Now they're dismissing these charges. I don't know if you've heard about them, and if you have, but if you have heard about them, should there be hearings? Should they be strongly considered as they were with Dr. Blasey Ford when it was Brett Kavanaugh? Or should we just go on business as usual and not listen to women at all like we used to do?
Certainly, I've heard of this. I mean, it pains me greatly. There are two people who know what really happened in 1993. And then there's God, the good Lord, for those of us who believe. And it is unfair not to vet this out. It is hypocrisy not to vet this out. Now, this is painful for either side, especially if you didn't do it. And not just Tara Reid's case, but any case where these kind of allegations are put forth. It is painful for both sides. And so what we need politicians to do is not politic this. Transparency and accountability across the board. Vet it out across the board. It doesn't matter if you like the person, dislike the person. Do that across the board. Don't vilify the person. What I will say is that I don't know who's telling the truth. What I do know is that we should have a process by which transparency and accountability takes the foreground and your politics go into the background. What I do know is that Ms. Reid has not been treated by the Democrats in the same way that they treated Dr. Blasey Ford. Those are facts. I say vet it out and let the chips fall where they may. If she's lying, consequence. If the vice president's lying, consequence. But we cannot turn a blind eye to the allegations, or that would make us like what the other party that we talk against all the time. The truth doesn't have an expiration date. It just doesn't. So again, I don't know who's telling the truth, but the American people deserve to try to get as close to it. And I probably shouldn't even use the word true, Tim Black, because I don't know how we get to the truth, but we can get closer to an understanding if this thing is vetted out, and if it's vetted out in a way where each side is not trying to take advantage of the situation. You know, and that's what the Me Too movement, before it was co-opted. Don't get me started about the Me. I hope people know Me Too was started by a sister, but we can talk about that another time. It was co-opted. But the essence of the Me Too movement was really about giving women a safe space to talk about things that have happened to them that were painful and that ordinarily has not been accepted to conversation in this country. I mean, for a long time, women couldn't talk about these issues. Sometimes women still don't talk about these issues because you ask, what were you wearing? What did you do? Did you seduce the man? You know, all of these backward ass questions are asked. The onus is then put on the woman. Fast forward to the 21st century, the Me Too movement revealed those things in a deeper way, made us come face to face with the shaming that we have done to women. I say we collectively, I mean as a nation. And so are we going to go back to that, or are we going to move forward? So it shouldn't matter if it's your teammate or not. What you should want is just to try to get closer to the truth and let the chips fall where they may.
People want their day in court.
Yeah.
They want their at bat to make their case. I think it's only fair. I myself supported Blasey Ford, Dr. Ford, being able to voice her issues and have a hearing. I'm just being consistent. That's all I'm being.
Is that what you, Tim? See, you're not a politician. You being consistent. Is that allowed? But no, you're right. Just consistency. You summed up what I just said in one word: consistency. No, it's true, because it's consistency. And it really sends to me a bad message to our sons and to our daughters and our sons. What kind of America is this? We are supposed to be making progress on issues of sex and gender and class and race. And moments like this really do set us back. Really. And that's why I said, let the, you know, if you're fair about it, because I think the movement in one way, when you say women never lie, you know, the whole absolutism of the movement, or some people pushing that, because I'm not so sure that that's what the movement intended, but it got co-opted in a way that it presented in an absolute fashion at all times. Women are telling the truth. Now, as much as I would love for that to be true as a woman, to err is human. Yeah. So it's all in the framing. I believe that the movement should be framed in a way, yes, give women the comfort level and the support that they need to tell their story. But don't frame it in a way that women are infallible, because we are not. Because that hurts. That really hurts men too. You know, what if there's a situation where a man really, really didn't do it? But once your reputation is maligned like that, it's kind of hard to get it back. So that's why I said, vet it out. If there's a court to go to, you know, when things happen in real time and go to court, come on, let's go on and have it out. And whoever's telling the truth or deemed to be telling the truth, if it does come out that somebody absolutely was lying, I mean, maliciously just absolutely lying, then there should be a consequence to that. But let's not play games with it. This is serious. People's lives and livelihoods are on the line. Their emotions are on the line. And again, what is happening to Ms. Reid is just really unacceptable. If you got a Kavanaugh standard, Democrats, right?
Yeah. Or Al Franken standard.
Or Al Franken.
Or Tavis Smiley standard. Hell, I'll go there. You know, then, we should have a similar standard in this case.
I mean, just keep consistent. I mean, you said it. That's it. Just transparency, accountability, and consistency. Can we just live with those three words? Transparency, accountability, and consistency, with an eye towards getting as close to the truth as one can without vilifying anyone, but especially the person who is the accuser.
Absolutely.
How about that? And you got power like that. How about that? Why can't we just do that, Mr. Black? Really?
Politics, as you stated, politics.
It's the ugly side of politics, and the collective we should be ashamed.
Yeah,
Really.
just to get off the path for a moment, we don't talk enough about who you are, Miss Turner, about how did you come to do this? Because it just seems like, I don't know, it's just a difficult area to be in politics. I mean, I get up, I just say my truth. I just run down the narrative. I look at the narratives, look at what they're saying, and decide, hey, let me inform the people about this information from my vantage point. I don't have to worry about parties. I don't have to worry about, can I go to this, or parties, or going to somebody's party. I don't have to worry about none of that. You know, so how did you get into this life of politics?
It was a calling. It found me. Tim Black, it definitely found me. And I've certainly had my ups and downs in this. You know, I served as a Cleveland City Councilwoman. I went on to the Ohio Senate. From there, I was the 2014. A lot of people don't know I was the 2014 nominee for Secretary of State. That was a hard year for Democrats. You know, some of my haters, you know, they kind of put out a litany of the races I've been in, and they point out that I lost that race. Yeah, I did not win that race because I was going up against an entrenched Republican, an incumbent. How about that? And the fact that there are very few African Americans in the United States of America who have won statewide office. How about that? You know, and it boggles my mind when people do that to you, because at least I got out on the field. And the person I was challenging was known as the Secretary of Suppression. He did everything in his power opposite of what a Secretary of State should do, which is to increase the franchise for all, no matter how they vote, they're voting. You know, you run as a Democrat, run as a Republican, but that's one office, Tim, that I believe that once you win that office and you take the oath of office, you need to take your partisanship off, because you answer to the people, and your job, the badge of honor that you would wear, is to expand and protect the right to vote. So I was running against a man who went to court, who put out orders, who did everything that he could to suppress the vote. And then my haters, as they run down what they think is my electoral history, got a nerve to say, well, she ran for statewide office and lost. Yeah, I did, but I got out on the field. And you know why? I got out there to protect the vote and to be a challenge to a man who should not have won that re-election, but he did. Incumbent, Republican, and the fact that no African American had won a constitutional office in the great state of Ohio. And that is true for most states in the union. And still no African American has won a constitutional office on the Democratic side. We do have Ken Blackwell on the Republican side of my great state, who won, you know, many years ago, but there has never been an African American in the state of Ohio who has won a constitutional office. But I got in there, I fought. The man had millions of dollars in the bank before I had even gotten started, Tim. So to the haters who want to try to use that, ain't that something?
Yeah.
How backwards that is?
That's what they do. That's what
they do that. And I gave up my last term. We have term limits in Ohio. And when I ran for Secretary of State, it was during the same year that I was up for re-election as a state senator. And so I could have just taken the comfortable road and just said, hey, let me just go on and run for state senate again. But I took the most difficult road, as I always do. No surprise. I took the challenging road, and I did that for the people. I really did. And I learned a lot. I traveled all over this state. I communed with lots of people who it may have seemed like I didn't have anything in common. It was quite a journey. And to quote my sister, Fantasia, sometimes you got to lose to win again, baby. You know, I don't consider it a loss. It was an experience, but I got out there. And thank you, because I've been wanting to get that off my chest. Every time, you know, I kind of dip into Twitter and I see that foolishness, I want to call it something else. And it gets to you sometimes, because these are people who probably ain't never stepped foot, tried to run office. They've never been on the battlefield at all, but they got a lot of smack to talk. Yes, I took the risk and I got out there. I was the woman in the arena. We know President Teddy Roosevelt talked about the man in the arena. Oh yeah, baby. I got in that arena, and I don't have a regret for it. And then from there, you know, went on to support Senator Sanders in 2016 and in 2020. So I gave you the short version of that, because I marinated a little bit in that Secretary of State's race, because that's been getting to me every time I see that BS, you know, floating out there. So I just wanted to set the record straight. You know, and I'm a hell-raising humanitarian. I really care about the people. I do care whether or not people have food to eat. Do they have a home to live in? I care that the racial wealth gap between Black and whites is bigger than I can stretch out my arms. I care about whether or not the next generation of African Americans are going to have to continue to succumb to police brutality or jogging down the street as the man was doing in Georgia and get gunned down.
I was going to ask you about that. I know that I was wondering what you thought about that situation. The young man who was jogging, Ahmad Arbery, Arbery is his last name. He's only 25 years old. Looked like he was on a jog. We got these lack of a better term, these rednecks with shotguns decide, hey, this guy, he's Black, he's running. Somebody Black stole something one time, so let's track him down. Let's run him down. And they have guns, and he decide, hey, they're not cops. Maybe I should get away from them. They have guns. I don't have a gun. And they gun this young man down, take his life. I don't know if you know this whole story, but they have, let alone have they been charged? No, they haven't even been arrested. Nina, what are your thoughts about this latest atrocity?
It's harrowing. You know, it says a lot to the negative about this country and how far we have not come. That's something that we read about, right? That happened in the 50s, the 60s, the 30s, the 20s, the teens. But to see that kind of foolishness still happen in the 21st century, we have a problem, America, if you don't know it. And it is called institutional systemic racism. And it is called the socialization in this country that already from birth puts that mark on Black folks' foreheads, particularly Black males, that they are somehow more dangerous than anybody else. We need some real truth and reconciliation in this country. Tell me, this is hard. I mean, I'm a mother. You know, that could have been my damn son. My son is 30. That could have been my son. That's somebody's son. And we should care. I mean, you can't even run while Black. You can't even wear a mask while Black. You know, there were stories out there, we saw them. You try to protect yourself from COVID. Yeah. Ice Cube said, my skin is my sin. You know, I quote that part of the lyric all the time because it really pains me. We gotta do something. We can't continue this way. So if it's not the police, and not all police, but if it's not, you know, death by state, then it's everyday citizens who feel as though they have the right to gun down Black people. It reminds me of Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin. You know, that little boy couldn't even be in his daddy's neighborhood. Same thing. Yep. He Black, therefore he must be a criminal. That is embedded. That is how we're socialized in this country, United States, good old United States of America. Change has to come. Yeah. We need truth and reconciliation, Tim.
And then what they did is, as you outlined earlier about the sisters, how we do women who make allegations against powerful men. What are they doing with the young brother? They're now looking at his background. And it's not asking him what he was wearing, asking what did he ever do in his life. Now we want to put the victim, the deceased victim on trial, vilify him. Same thing they do with a woman. What was you wearing? What were you doing? Did you ever welcome his advances in some way?
Right. What signals were you giving off? And no, we got Houston. We got a problem. We really do. And it's a deep-seated problem. This problem didn't just start yesterday. It's years in the making. It's centuries in the making. You know, it's generations in the making. And we got to do something about it. That change must come. And we are the people that will do this. Nobody's coming to save us. It's us. And so if we want a new thing, we got to do a new thing. You got to stop accepting this kind of. I'm going to try to keep it PG. I want to curse so bad, Tim Black, right now, but I'm not going to do it.
It's whatever you want to do.
It's enraging.
Black. Like Dr. Cornel West told me, I'm a free Black man.
Free Black. Yes. I speak that other language very well. People might not know that about me, but baby, I can. What Bernie Mac said is a person, place, and a thing, okay? Mm-hmm. MF, person, place, a thing. Y'all going to look that up.
That's it.
If you don't know. Oh my God.
You know, Senator Turner, you may not know this or not, because I know you're just doing you. You're doing what's natural for you, being a leader, being a voice of a movement. But you are breaking down racial stereotypes every day, sister. Every day, people are looking at you, and you're changing opinions about black women, about how black women move, about the capacity and the passion and the leadership of black women. Do you sense that in yourself? Do you ever stop and you said we need to stop and think about the movement? Do you stop and think about your personal impact on all these people that are watching?
Oh, thank you, sir. I do, not often. That like a servant leader. I am a servant leader, and I just keep pushing it. So it's not until people like you or some tweet hits my feed saying just what you said, and then I pause for a minute. So it's because of people like you that I do stop and pause and say, wow, you know what? That is true. That's all right. I don't have to be, it's okay to stop and smell the roses from time to time. And I do that. And I am so appreciative, because I know not everybody in the movement, not every leader is told the things that you're telling me and the things that I see and the memes that are created and the artwork. I've met so many incredible people. One of the beautiful things about being on the trail, and I have been traveling for 5 years. I want people to know that I didn't just start, but I have traveled this country for over 5 years, have hit almost every single state. There may be only 3 states that I didn't hit in over a 5-year period on this journey for justice, whether it's supporting candidates, supporting issues, being in forums, trying to use my voice, being a bridge, crying with folks, laughing with folks, lifting folks. I have done that for over 5 years. So I am just eternally grateful to be embraced by people in this way. And I know not everybody loves me, and that's okay too. That's fine. I even work for people, I'm fighting for a type of justice for people who don't even like me, because I'm a hell-raising humanitarian. So I am honored though by that. So you making me pause for a minute and smell those roses.
It's real talk. I mean, because I know that I'm hoping that you would join us in independent media, because I think you'd be a rock star immediately if you hung out your shingle. It's just.
I got some surprises coming.
Yeah, I was going. That's what I was, because you being from the island of misfit black women.
Yeah, misfit black girls, baby.
Black girls. You call it the girls. Oh,
come on this island. This is an island. Sojourner Truth is on this island. Ella Baker's on this island. Come on. Rosa Parks is on this island.
What?
Yes. Fannie Lou Hamer's on this island. Shirley Chisholm's on this island. Barbara Jordan is on this island. Hello, somebody. Bree Joy is on this island. Yes, Dr. Dooley. it ain't just our ancestors that's on this island. Right. They were misfit black girls. The reason why I went down the naming of the ancestors, our sheroes, is because they were considered misfit black girls too. Come on.
Yeah, who don't try to sell their souls to get in the establishment.
There it is.
Black women, not girls. I take exception to that. I'm married to a black woman. I was raised by a black woman, and I've raised black women. So I take exception to them calling them girls. But just because you choose to walk your own path, not cowtoe, now you a misfit because you won't do what he's done. And I've had my back and forth with Jason JJ, with JJ. And we went at it because he said some things that I had to correct. That's the beauty of independent media. I get to do stuff that politicians don't get to do. I get to call people out and have my say. So I welcome you to that new arena.
Well, thank you. I will be doing some creative things. You are needed. Independent media is definitely needed. And we need voices on mainstream too. We need voices like ours on the mainstream. We got to have folks. I believe progressives should be in every facet.
Okay.
So yes, you can do some things that other folks can't do. And then our sisters and brothers who are blessed enough to be in progressive media, I'm not just saying sister and brother based on phenotype, but people who do believe in progressive movement and progressive causes, we need them over there talking that talk too. Progressives should be in every single profession and every single facet. Again, I'm a church girl, as you know.
Right.
Let your light so shine so that all the world, come on, somebody, let it shine in independent media. Let it shine in mainstream media. Let it shine in corporate America. Let it shine in nonprofits. Let it shine on campaigns. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. We should be everywhere.
I agree. I do. You're absolutely right. So do you have any announcements you would like to share, or is there anything else? What can we invite people to do to follow you, or to contribute, or
definitely. I
be a
mean,
part of?
please follow me. The next time I'm on your show, I will definitely have my announcement. I'm putting some things together. But listen, follow me on Twitter at Nina Turner, on the gram, Nina Turner, Ohio, Facebook, Nina Turner. And please go follow once again. Support People for Bernie, Roots Action. There's so many progressive organizations. Go over there, check out Our Revolution. Even though I'm not running it anymore, I'm still very fond of the chairman, Larry Cohen, and others who are over there just still carrying the mantle. Color of Change, ran by Brother Rashad. Come on, Robinson. Go on, give him a shout out. DFA, my dear sister Yvette Simpson is over there. And also the Working Families Party, that's Brother Maurice Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And, there are a whole host of others. So please, you see, you asked me to give my stuff, and here I am. That's just what I do. Right. I'm an ally. I try my best. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Just ask my husband. But I am an ally. And I really do believe in the greater good. And I'm trying my damnedest every single day to walk in that truth and to just be me all the way and to lift. So, Tim Black, this was such a pleasure. I'm hopping on the call, the Bernie Crats in San Francisco.
Oh, yes.
Yes. They're having a call tonight, late night on our East Coast time, but they want me to jump in and lift them up too. So.
Absolutely. Well, look, Senator Turner, thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule once again for coming on this show. We appreciate you so much. Our door's always open. Always let me know if there's anything that we can do for you. We'd be happy to do it. Thank you.
Back at you, Mr. Black.
That's it, guys. Follow us. Follow Nina on Instagram. Let's get her Instagram numbers up. Nina Turner, Ohio.
Instagram, Nina Turner, Ohio. Twitter at Nina Turner, and Facebook, Nina Turner.
That's it, guys. Follow me at Real Tim Black on Facebook and Twitter, and on Instagram, Tim Black at Night. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.